Grab your motorcycle keys, right now. Trace the faded scratches on the plastic casing. Feel the cold metal against your thumb. And remember the exact sensation of twisting the throttle all the way back on an empty road when you were 16 years old. But your ancestors had none of that, and they faced a mortality rate from accidents and violence 200% higher than small children. Why would nature design an age group at the absolute peak of physical strength that constantly tries to get itself killed with reckless decisions? To find the answer, go back 60,000 years. A sun-baked savanna in East Africa, the suffocating smell of dry grass, and a teenager walking straight toward a feeding pride of lions with nothing but a thin wooden spear. The giant cats tear into the thick hide of a fallen zebra. Their heavy muscles twitch under the blinding light, ripping meat from bone while blood and dirt mix into an overwhelmingly metallic stench. The teenager does not walk alone. Behind him, 3 other young males from the tribe stand completely silent, watching his every move. He steps closer to the frenzied carnivores, throwing heavy stones and swinging a flaming branch to drive the massive predators away from their kill. Life and death are separated by a single fraction of a second. Any adult would simply wait for the lions to gorge themselves and leave the area. They would carefully scavenge the remaining carcass later, using heavy rocks to safely crack open the thick leg bones for the marrow hidden inside. But this boy chooses to steal the freshest meat directly from the jaws of death, simply because his friends are standing right there watching him. That decision looks like a complete absence of basic survival logic. His brain is actually executing a flawless evolutionary algorithm. He places a far lower value on the risk of losing his own life than the risk of losing his status in the eyes of his peers. We treat adolescence as a defective version of adulthood. We view it as a transitional phase, filled with impulsive decisions, broken rules, and a total lack of emotional control. Every parent tries to trap their 16-year-old safely inside their arms, hoping the child survives just long enough for their brain to finish developing and start thinking rationally. The safety of a parent's embrace is actually a genetic death sentence. It functions as a biological trap, leading directly to inbreeding, stagnant gene pools, and local resource depletion. Nature understands this equation perfectly. If young primates always obeyed their elders, always feared the dark, and never dared to step past the boundary of the cave, the human race would have died out exactly where it was born. To force a creature to leave the nest and face a world filled with predators, disease, and rival tribes, nature needed a weapon much stronger than the instinct of fear. Puberty is designed to be a demolition system for caution, intentionally turning obedient children into deliberate daredevils. Risk is not a bug in the maturation process. It is a mandatory tool. Neuroscientists put teenagers into brain scanners and told them to play a highly difficult driving simulation game. When playing completely alone, they hit the brakes at red lights and yielded the right of way exactly like the most cautious adults. The scanner showed calm, measured neural activity across their entire brain network. But the exact second a peer walked into the room, their brains lit up with massive reward signals, and the car on the screen immediately slammed into a concrete wall at absolute top speed. They did not lose their ability to recognize danger. Their ability to care about it was simply neutralized by a chemical flood. The brain relies on the limbic system, the deep neural network, controlling our most primitive emotions and cravings, which explodes into full power in the very first years of puberty. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for holding back impulses and calculating long-term consequences, is deliberately delayed, remaining under construction until a human reaches 25 years old. This biological timing creates a machine where the gas pedal is pressed firmly to the floor while the brake lines are completely severed. The brain enters a state of massive dopamine release, the primary chemical of desire and action. The moment friends are present, heart rates accelerate, pupils dilate, muscles tense, and the urge to take action overwhelms every physical boundary your body possesses. In the prehistoric world, your status among your peers decided whether you found a mate or died alone, making it infinitely more important than listening to the safety lectures of the elderly. Personal safety becomes completely worthless when weighed against the chance to win the right to reproduce. Deep in the dense thorn bushes of the Hadza Valley in Tanzania, roughly 1,000 Hadza people still live exactly like our earliest hunter-gatherer ancestors. When night falls, the adult men sit safely around the campfire. They chew dried meat, repair their bows with animal sinew, and tell stories about the great gods who shaped the earth. A few miles away, in the pitch-black wilderness, crawling with leopards and hyenas, 15-year-old Hadza boys are doing something no experienced hunter ever wants to do. They climb straight up the slippery, towering trunks of baobab trees. No ropes, no lights, completely exposed, to face the most aggressive wild honey bees in Africa. A young man swings his iron axe directly into the thorny bark. Tens of thousands of furious bees explode out of the shattered hive to sting his face, his chest, and his bare arms. He does not shout or pull back. Waiting quietly at the bottom of the tree are the calculating eyes of the other boys. Honey provides a massive percentage of the tribe's total calories, but harvesting it in the dark is far more about displaying personal dominance than satisfying a nutritional requirement. He rips the heavy comb loose from the inside of the tree trunk. He drops the massive, golden slab, covered in dead bees and his own blood, onto the grass below. His social ranking within the group changes in an instant. He broadcasts a clear signal to the young women of the tribe that he carries genetics bold enough to protect the pack from any threat. Pride and physical survival are the exact same thing in the wild. Every modern teenage obsession you hate, the dangerous viral video challenges, the reckless driving, the desperate need for digital validation, is actually the oldest, most brutal survival mechanism repackaged for the modern world. Adolescents crave peer validation, not because they are vain or poorly educated, but because millions of years of evolution wired them to know that social isolation means guaranteed death in the wilderness. The biggest tech corporations understand this neural mechanism perfectly. They turned that eternal hunger for attention into a global empire. Social media algorithms specifically target the developmental gap between the emotional limbic system and the impulse-controlling prefrontal cortex. Silicon Valley engineered the infinite scroll, removing the natural stopping cue present in every other human activity, so the brain never receives the signal to walk away. They built variable reward schedules of likes and comments, applying the exact same psychological mechanics as a casino slot machine to the deeply human need for social validation. They time their notifications to interrupt at specific intervals that maximize re-engagement, converting the invisible feeling of tribal belonging into a hard number that can be optimized and therefore never feels complete. Streak systems on messaging apps exploit loss aversion, forcing teenagers to log in every single day just to avoid losing a purely digital symbol of their friendship. Every buzz in a pocket syncs perfectly with the brain's natural dopamine release schedule. It traps teenagers in a constant loop of performance, measurement, and comparison that they cannot easily escape. The technology industry didn't create that craving for social status. They spent billions of dollars studying the oldest blind spots of the teenage brain and built an entire digital ecosystem to fit exactly what they found there. That is why the stern warnings of adults regarding future consequences rarely work on a brain currently drowning in the chemicals of the present moment. The obsession with appearance, the constant rule-breaking, and the endless nights spent gathering with friends are not signs of a broken generation. They form the internal navigation system of a creature learning how to stand alone, testing the physical limits of the world, and fighting for a position in a brutal social hierarchy before true adulthood begins. The brain would rather accept the absolute finality of physical death than endure the agony of social death. A prehistoric teenager steps out from the warm protection of the cave, faces the endless dark and the growls of predators, and wagers his own life for the chance to hear his peers cheer his name. A modern teenager cranks the steering wheel hard at a crowded intersection, his heart hammering against his ribs, risking shattered bones or a fractured skull, just to hear the screaming laughter of the friends in the backseat. Whether gripping a blood-soaked spear or twisting a high-speed throttle, both are executing the exact same biological command written at the dawn of humanity.